there, it's me, Brianna, and you are listening to Are We Caught Up Yet? Marvel Edition. You can find us on youtube.com/SaveTheGameMedia and podcast services. If you do want to show Save the Game Media some extra love and get early access to all of our podcasts and some fun post shows and stuff like that, you can go to patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia. We also do like host v host stuff. Sam did the Jeopardy board this time. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm assuming I'll lose again because I'm really good at that. Honestly, I think I'm winning at losing almost, but
you might, honestly, not giving you any insight, I think you might be pleasantly surprised with my board. I think you might do surprisingly well. And I'm not giving you too much credit. I'm not like overestimating. I think that with the type of questions that I put down, you are more likely to know the answers to most of them than not, probably.
Well, here's the real issue. I was talking to Kyle the day before we recorded this last one, and he goes, "Brianna, you'll be fine this time." Same way you did. He's like, "Brianna, it's a bunch of anime stuff. It's a bunch of nerd stuff. You know all this. Don't worry about it." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Brianna, this is your one chance to win."
Okay, then I fully rescind my previous comment.
And then literally when we were talking about it yesterday, 2 days ago when we recorded anime podcast, excuse me. He goes, "Brianna, I just don't understand how your brain just turns off." He's like, "You knew the answers to so many of those questions and you just didn't answer them." And it's so true, you guys. My brain just like, it goes offline. The one that I will never forget for the rest of my life is being asked to name a single Final Fantasy villain.
Disgraceful.
I've only played like 1,100 hours. No, plus the PlayStation time, like 1,400 hours of.
You would also just Sephiroth.
Also, Kingdom Hearts could have pulled through, but
precisely.
Anyways, yeah, it's disgraceful, to be honest. I don't know what to do about it.
Yep.
Unless somebody actually gives me the topics beforehand, I don't even know, and even if they did, I don't think I could study because the topics are pretty broad.
Mm-hmm.
But also I had no chance with the wrestling.
Yeah.
I purposefully avoid wrestling. So anyways, come join the Patreon, you guys. We have a lot of fun over there. So yeah. How are you today, Sam? What have you been watching? Oh, his microphone went out. It does that sometimes. He refuses to get anything. Like, he could get a new cord, new microphone.
I think I'm back. Am I back?
You are. Yeah, you're back.
Okay. I'm okay. I've had a very busy day as of time of recording. Lots of personal information being loaded in. Nothing bad necessarily, just lots to process and deal and implement going forwards, health-wise. But I'm okay. Busy as always. And what have I been watching? Absolutely bugger all. As per usual.
Have you been watching The Bear?
No, I haven't. It's certainly on the list. I will be watching it ASAP, really. But so I have way too much backlog now that I have to catch up on. I'm still trying to finish Fallout with my dad. We're a couple of episodes away from that. Need to watch whatever we were just saying.
The Bear?
The Bear, yes. Mm-hmm. Correct. It's been a long day. And I also need to start watching The Boys. That's restarted again. I need to watch The Acolyte, to the Star Wars show with my dad. I don't think there's anything else. There's another Marvel show coming in late September. But I've got a little bit of time before that starts. So, and then not that has any relevance to right now, but I am extremely excited that we now know when Severance season 2 is coming.
I was literally about to bring that up with you. I was like, did you like? It was a rhetorical question because I knew you had seen it, but like, did you see the Severance 2 is coming? I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited. I have now seen that show twice, and I kind of want to watch it a third time, but like the third watch would just more be for like the vibes, you know, just like letting it play in the background and just like the music and the sound and
Sure.
whatever. But I love that show. Can't wait. You better not be busy when it comes out. Like, what, you're gonna like not watch Severance? Don't be crazy.
I will. I can't see that it's going to be something I skip out on or aren't there, you know, week to week. Was it a binge? The first season wasn't a binge. I don't think. Maybe it was.
Watched it after it was out, so I genuinely don't know.
Yeah,
Apple usually releases 2 or 3 episodes at the beginning and then releases weekly after that. So they usually dump a couple and then keep going from
there. Okay.
What was I gonna say? My brain. What have I been watching? Have I watched anything? I watched the show for today. And it's new season of anime, so I've been watching a lot of stuff. Kyle and I just barely talked about it, so by the time you hear this, there's going to be an episode out that's like, it's like what to watch summer 2024 or something like that. You should all go look at the thumbnail because it's a great thumbnail. I put the thumbnail around the anime that Kyle and I are weirdly like now attached to. It's called My Dear Friend Nokotan. And it's about this girl that just has like deer horns. And Sam, it's the most ridiculous show. Like these, so the word for deer in Japanese is shika. And so what will happen is like, so you're getting this like animated TV show. It's just regular anime, right? Slice of life. This girl's like kind of walking around, and then all of a sudden these CGI like deer will just show up in the background and they'll be like shika shika. It's so weird. But the gift that I sent you and Taylor that says "you dear," that's from the opening song of that. Like,
I see.
It's like a Dark Souls reference in the middle of the opening, and I was like, "What the heck is going on here, you guys?" Anyways, this show is ridiculous. But yeah, Kyle and I talked about all of the shows that we're watching, but then we also gave like a here's what you should be watching. TLDR, our number one thing that you should be watching if you're not is Oshinoko. It's on High Dive for the US. If you're not watching Oshinoko, you need to rectify that immediately if you like anime. Go watch season 1, catch up with season 2. Just watch the first episode, really, and it's one of the best first episodes of television ever. So catch up. That's what I've been watching because I didn't have any time besides watching stuff to catch up for podcast stuff. Been playing Final Fantasy 14 Dawn Trail. That's good. Come play with me, you guys. As I sob in the background, I have no friends. It's a good time, you guys. All right. Today, you guys, we are going to be talking about this show called Hawkeye. I'm kind of curious if you think I liked the show or not.
You're going to tell me, so I'm excited to find out.
Oh, not even going to play? Not even going to play the game?
I'm going to assume that you did like the show.
I think that like is an understatement. I loved the show. Oh. How dare you, Sam?
Sorry.
No, okay, so like I feel like I want to preface this by saying I've never seen Die Hard. But this feels to me like if I liked watching Die Hard as a Christmas movie, this feels like the same thing. It's like equated in my head where it's like this is like a kind of like action TV show, but it's obviously like centered around like Christmas stuff. So I'm like, I could see myself watching this as like, this is my Christmas thing. But I really did enjoy this show. I thought it was a lot of fun. I really overall don't have any beef with this show. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. My friends keep Snapchatting me. So I should be more specific. My dad's girlfriend keeps Snapchatting me. She is my friend, but also my dad's girlfriend. Anyways, yeah, I just had a good time overall. I loved that they like had like little pieces of Christmas music throughout it, and it was kind of like quiet. I really liked the kind of twisting and turning of the plot, the way that like your idea works around the characters. I enjoyed that they brought in some other characters that I wasn't expecting. I enjoyed that they had some serious discussions that I think were well done about like morality of being a hero. Yeah, I think that this show was really, really well balanced. I think it was really well written, acted. I had a really good time. What about you, Sam?
I'm glad you feel that way because it's pretty much exactly where I am. I think this is by far the most underrated of the Disney Plus shows. It's definitely, I mean,
when you think like Hawkeye, you know, I think people underestimate Hawkeye. It's a marketing problem.
It's people that have watched the show that say it's not good, and I just
really what?
Yeah, it's nothing to do with the misconception about the character. It's people saying that the show isn't good.
That's messed up.
It's certainly in my top 3 for Marvel Disney Plus shows to date. As in current time, not to where we are.
Oh, okay.
I think so. It's standing paramount alongside the best of the best, in my opinion, in terms of the TV shows that Marvel have put out. For practically every reason, I think that the setting and the tone is great. A lot of the themes and character interactions are some of the most wholesome we've seen. I think in general, the ensemble cast that they've got for this show is hella good.
It is. It is hella good.
I think that the way that the show interconnects lots of little different bits of the MCU and brings them together are very smart, intricately woven. It doesn't take itself too seriously, which is nice. It has excellent representation. Yeah, I just truly love it. I also will be relatively hard pressed to find anything I'm that critical of. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure as we're talking, we always say like, "Hey, we think this was great." Not always. For the stuff that we like, we're like, "Oh, we won't have any criticisms," but then we always do. So, I'm sure we'll find something as we talk. But overall,
you understand now why we watch Daredevil. It all makes sense.
No. I'm just kidding.
I know. I was playing along with the bit, but I thought you were going to keep it up for longer.
No, I really wasn't. I was going to try and make some joke about how I didn't watch Daredevil, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just playing into Taylor's not bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting bit of trivia, because I might as well just bring it up now that we're here before we get started properly. This last episode, the finale of Hawkeye, that actually probably has Kingpin in it, and Far From Home released on the same day. So I went to see Far From Home. Not Far From Home, No Way Home. Went to go see No Way Home during the day and was like, oh my God, it's Matt Murdock. And then I got home in the evening and watched the finale of Hawkeye. I was like, Coincidental timing, probably, but to reintroduce both of the biggest stars of Daredevil on the same day is.
I mean, we can like, yeah, never mind. I was gonna say I kind of wanted to talk about the character, but we'll talk about it at the end. I have to crochet. My hands are going everywhere. I did throw my phone away, so I couldn't use that at least.
Well done.
Thank you. Now I just need to grab my yarn. Anyways, yeah, we'll just get started because I think like the stuff I want to say is about like towards the end. So we'll just go. First thing I have listed on my list here, as always, is soundtrack. I thought it was generally good. I don't love Christmas music in general. And it is also kind of weird to listen to Christmas music out of context of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
The only one I listen to is like the Mannheim Steamroller version of Carol of the Bells because that song is incredible. Anyways,
yeah.
Other than that, I don't really listen to Christmas music. So, however, I did like the remixes of the Christmas songs that they did have, and in general, just good time. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's very, very, very specific. I think that the music as a whole, obviously, like in terms of original scoring, I don't really think there's anything to write home about. But they lean so heavily on the Christmas theming that really the Christmas music is the original scoring to the show.
Yeah.
I will say though that some of the licensed tracks that aren't Christmas music, I really love. I can't remember what the actual music piece is, but it's by Depeche Mode. It's the track that this is. I'm sorry how specific this is. It's the track that plays when Maya is introduced at the end of that episode. For some reason, that track where she's in the red room and she's got her hand on the speaker, only in the episode for like 30 seconds, but that track
Christmas
has really
Island?
Yes, that's it really stuck with me, not for any given reason. I just think that like the tone of that scene with the music, the pairing of it just felt, it's just chef's kiss to me, and I can't quite nail why, but because of how pronounced it is in my memory, like I just haven't forgotten it. I can play that scene out shot by shot in my head, and I can't tell you why. But outside of that, soundtrack is sort of fine,
Yeah,
traditional, usual.
Doesn't hurt anybody, doesn't help anybody.
Yeah. If we're being real, does Hawkeye need a theme?
In our theoretical wish list of having them all have a theme and then it comes together to create the Avengers theme, yes. But sure. in this real world where they didn't do that because they're crazy, no.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Dude. Bechdel test is for sure passes. Because the mom and the daughter have conversations that are not about men.
Mm-hmm.
Good work. I don't think all of the episodes pass if you were to look at like episode by episode, but the show overall I passed.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
We'll take it. Okay. So now we have our characters, themes, story, and our through line stuff. One thing that's killing me, you guys, we're just gonna let go. I'm just like, whew. So if you don't want to be spoiled, like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Go watch the show. Okay. First of all, I really love Maya.
Mm-hmm.
I really love her. I think she's really cool. I'm scared that she is going to be the one having been shot, if I were to be honest with you. Because they pull away from the alley scene. So it's possible, not 100% plausible because of how fast the shot happened, but it is possible that Kingpin stole the gun and shot her. Right? Because we don't actually see it. But I'm really hoping that that's not what happened, because I just in general really like her character. I love seeing sign language. And yeah, I loved her character. She's stunning. Yeah, I'm really hopeful we'll see her again.
I mean, do you want some insight?
Yeah, I would.
So it's not mentioned in this show, but the character she's playing is traditionally known in the comics as Echo.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say anything contextually, but I will say that there is an Echo Disney Plus show.
Oh, good.
So does that mean she didn't get a shot? I'm not saying that.
It's also possible that Kingpin got shot and just got away.
Maybe.
Although based on her aim, she was aiming for his head. So
yeah. No, I think, and also a little bit of trivia for you, which might impress you even more. Alakwa Cox, the actress who plays Maya, this was her acting debut.
Really? She did incredible.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. This is her debut, her first big break. I mean, what a first role to get! Jesus Christ. And she's my age too. You know, God damn it.
What were you doing?
Steve, what do you mean?
You should be there
I'm just saying she's my age, and she's got her first acting gig in the MCU. You know?
And I'm saying, where's your first acting gig in the MCU?
That's what I'm still waiting. I'm waiting.
This is a mistake on their part. Why are they calling you?
I don't know.
Did you give them your number?
Yeah.
Shit.
Forgetting to do that.
That's what happened.
But no, I think not only is Maya like a really interesting character, but very clearly the representation that she brings on multiple levels is
multiple levels, like so many. I love it.
Because not only is she Native American, she's also deaf, and she's also an amputee. So to use all of that and like to incorporate the prosthetic and everything, to incorporate her being an amputee, and for Marvel to be cool enough to not only cast her, but to make those elements of the character an integral part of who Echo is in the MCU is really cool, because that's not what Echo is like in the comics. Native American, yes, in the comics, but deaf and amputee, no. Those are Alakwa Cox things.
Okay, I love those.
So they augmented the character to fit around the actress, which can go badly if you don't do it right. But I think that with how much Alakwa nails it and how cool the character is as a result, I think that I certainly can't complain. There be, as you can imagine, there are certainly people in certain sectors of the internet that did find ways to complain.
Oh yeah, people are horrible on the internet.
Screw them. So.
Yep. Exactly. All right. How do we want to tackle this? I say let's go episode by episode. Is there a Hawkeye season 2 coming?
No.
No. Okay. So list of Hawkeye episodes. Thank you. Oh, there was a 1994 TV show? Did you know that?
Nope.
Okay, well, now we know. Okay, so the very first episode, we kind of get to meet everybody. So we know a lot of people. I immediately want to talk about the Marvel musical. What is going on?
Rogers, yeah. Yeah.
We had to sit through it not once but twice.
What do you mean sit through it? It's a masterpiece.
I love musicals, and it is a masterpiece in the way that it's disgustingly cheesy. But
Are you telling me that if Rogers the musical wasn't a real thing, you wouldn't plop your ass down in a seat and watch that thing very happily? I would pay big money to go and see a full show of that thing.
can I be so real with you? Like, I'm not even trying to be sarcastic here. I wouldn't go see it.
Disgusting.
But
Disgraceful.
it's okay. It's okay. Dude, what is going on with this? Like, okay. So I was looking through the like cast list for who's like playing in the musical because they have the cast list here. So silly. Anyways, so we have like that whole musical thing. We get some really cool pieces of information with like how Kate quote unquote met Clint and was saved. And I have to admit that was a really cool save. Like him like shooting, jumping off the building, like all that stuff. That's pretty cool. I think I would be a fangirl too.
Yeah.
We get like this whole thing with his children, which is so cute. I love that he like is hanging out with his children. Yeah. We just get like that whole I'll stop there with that whole opening sequence because then we kind of get into like the charity auction stuff. How did you feel about the setup for this show?
The setup. Yeah. I don't know that I have much to say on that front really.
Okay.
It worked. I liked that we saw an element of the first Avengers film from a different perspective. That sort of grounded it a bit more, made it feel a little bit more real.
Makes it feel like real world events for them, for sure.
And legitimizes what would happen that, well, in a world that we live in without heroes, there are people aspiring or, dreaming of being like the fictional characters that they idolize. And if those heroes were actually real, that would just be the case tenfold. So makes
in this
perfect sense
theoretical
that
world
Kate
where this musical becomes real, would you want to be cast?
No, because I don't sing.
Whatever. I bet you would.
No.
Come on. Be one of the dancers then.
I don't dance.
The worst. Anyways, what were you saying about Kate? Sorry.
No, I think that was it. If you're talking specifically about setup.
What has happened here? I just found a mess up in my crochet. That's fine. I'm gonna put my yarn down. So here's the thing that I like about the opening sequence is one, we of course set up like why Kate wants to be like Hawkeye. I think that's a really awesome setup. We kind of understand like how she works. We understand like why her and her mother are so close, with her father having passed away. So we get all of that good setup for her character. And I think for Clint's character, we kind of get like the like stakes set up for him. Partially in that his children, he really wants to spend time with his children, and his children really want to do like all of these Christmas activities with him. And so like we kind of get all of that set up, which is, I think that they like really did this opening sequence quite successfully to like set up. where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you know what? Let's see. So we have the charity auction gala, and I kind of want to spend a minute to talk about Jack, because what a tragic and hilarious story arc for him. His little character arc of he's really actually just fully just a dweeb. He gets pulled into this crazy scheme, and I do admit he kind of looks like a villain. I think it might be like the way that his hair is kind of like the partially grayed, like the mustache, whatever. It might just be like the way that he looks or whatever, but he fully looks the villain part. Add on to the fact that he's like really good at sword fighting, then like we have this like villain that like went to this charity auction, and in actuality he is just a geek that wanted another sword.
I mean, you're getting into sort of comic book knowledge and trivia here, but obviously his name is Jack in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But Jack Duquesne is the name in the show. There is a comic book character called Jacques Duquesne, who is called the Swordsman, who is a Hawkeye villain.
Okay, so they were messing with people too.
Yeah, so they were sort of pulling the wool over people's eyes and doing a misdirect to make people think that they know the direction in which a character or a narrative arc is going.
I love that. That's smart.
Yeah, that's the way you should do it, really, because then you surprise the people who haven't got a clue and still get shocked by a twist or whatever, but you're keeping the people that think they know everything on their toes, which is nice.
You.
I don't know everything, but I know most things. So yeah.
So yeah, so I think like I actually just kind of wanted to talk about like his whole character arc in the show. I will say, by the time that we know that like he's innocent, like I still think the way that he said I'll be home by Christmas was like really creepy. I know that we did at that exact moment we didn't know that he was innocent, but regardless, he sounded so creepy.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just misdirect, isn't it? It's just
for sure
painting a character in a certain light week to week to make you think that there's something nebulous going on.
Yeah. Honestly, that's part of the reason why I think I'd have a really good time rewatching this show. It's just like watching Jack just genuinely trying to be nice and genuinely trying to reconnect with his like future daughter-in-law or stepdaughter, and her just being like super suspicious of him. He's just like a nice guy. I think I will really enjoy that if I rewatch this show. I liked his character a lot. I think that his character was probably one of my favorites at the end, especially like when he finally got to like use his sword and do all the fighting. He's like, no, I'm having a great time. Just hanging out with the LARP people. What a great time there,
Yeah.
Do you have anything you wanted to add about his character?
Not particularly. He's never honestly really stood out that much to me. Obviously, he's a good fun comedic relief character, but I can't say that anything arc-wise really is that potent. It's mainly just the misdirect being a thing that paints him as a bad guy, and then it turns out, like you say, that he is just a bit of a bumbling idiot that is trying to do good, but just is in much deeper than he realizes. So yeah, no, he's a fun character to have, and I think it's a fun spin on a character from the comics because he is still very proficient with swords. And if he was going to show up in something, it would make sense for it obviously to be in a Hawkeye show and to make it him like the stepdad essentially of Kate. That's a nice integration. Weaves into the story well. So
are they going to keep using her character, or is this just a one-off?
Who?
Kate.
Good question.
I like that she does like. I hate that she gives me Katniss Everdeen vibes. You know.
What you mean, like a young woman, very proficient with a bow and arrow, that's a bit snappy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but I also
no
don't
idea
really
why you would think it's like Katniss.
Yeah, no, I know why I would think it's like Katniss, but I don't like the Hunger Games, so I don't like that.
Well, you can rest assured she's not Katniss, so you're safe there.
Thank you. I needed that reassurance. Otherwise, I would have never given it up.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So next we have the auction. Okay, wait. With the sorry, I'm jumping a little bit. What is the watch? They made it seem like it was like, oh, like thanks for grabbing my stuff, like don't leave it around, whatever. But I was like, did I miss something? Like I feel like I missed something.
Did you not see what happened at the very end of the show?
I did see what happened at the very end of the show, where he like gave the watch back to his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the, I believe, Marvel icon, like Captain Marvel icon. Is that what it was? Hold on.
No.
It was a bird. I can't remember. I know I've seen it.
It was the Shield logo.
Oh, so she's like an agent of Shield or whatever. That's like supposed to be the reveal.
Mm-hmm. A very specific agent. Again, that is a nod for comic book people. The insinuation is, again, there's no way of you knowing unless you know, but there's a very specific agent from S.H.I.E.L.D. in the comics, designated Mockingbird as a call sign, who has different abilities and is very proficient and one of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s best agents and stuff. So they've just not retconned, but retroactively made Hawkeye's wife a version of Mockingbird in the MCU.
Okay.
So the insinuation is that, again, because Hawkeye is all about his family and protecting his family and being there for his family, somebody gets hold of that watch that is part of Ronin's lot, that people know Ronin was Hawkeye, then people will lead back that his wife was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. So it puts her at risk.
Okay.
Like he can't let anybody know that she was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
I see. Okay. I'm glad that you explained that to me, because I was like, I remember that logo. I remember it like. Anyways, this is why I keep you around.
Thanks.
Okay, what else? So then we have, of course, Ronin's stuff. We have like the sword and the outfit at the market. And people spending a lot of money. A lot of money. And then we have the auction is interrupted by the Tracksuit Mafia, which did they show up in Daredevil?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. And then we of course see Kate being really cool. And then we get her saving a stray dog, all of that fun stuff, and she goes back to her apartment and ends up cornered by the Tracksuit Mafia. And then of course Clint saves her. That's our first little episode. How did you feel about the first episode? go back to your mind in November of 2021. How did you feel about this first episode?
I feel like I will have very surface level
That's okay.
opinions.
That's okay.
Just yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a solid setup. Laid everything out well. Yeah.
Okay. So in this first episode, I think that they, well, like Sam said, they laid out everything very well. I partially have a hard time with the tracksuit mafia. Partially, like, it's like a love-hate relationship where it's like, I love that it's so dumb, like that they just wear tracksuits, that they call each other bro, that it's like it's just like this, at the end of the day, really kind of a silly group, but it also kind of, for me, partially like lowers the stakes because I don't really take them too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I guess is fine, like, for the overall tone of the show, but it was kind of like a love-hate relationship where it's like, well, I wish, like, maybe it was, like, a little bit more, like, a little bit higher stakes. They ended up fixing it by the end of the show, but it's just kind of, like, silly.
Well, I don't know that the tracksuits were ever positioned to be a real threat. It's more just the fact that the ultimate goal for Clint is to get back home for Christmas, and the tracksuits are the clown, annoying thorn in his side that just
won't go
away. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that being the annoying, sort of pestering, fly buzzing round Clint, that sort of contextualizes the tracksuits and how they're depicted a little bit better in my eyes.
Okay. Next we have hide and seek, where we finally get Kate and Clive, or Clint. Clive. I keep wanting to say Clive because you know why. Anyways, Clint, they finally work together. They are attacked by the tracksuit mafia and they have to evacuate, which shows, like, catches her apartment on fire, which I have to be so real. Like, the police being like, and you're not concerned about your apartment being on fire? I was like, yeah, I don't think she played that one very well. Like, oh yeah, no, I knew my apartment caught on fire. Oh yeah, no, it's fine. Like,
yeah,
awkward. I think she needs to practice her lying skills.
Sure. Yeah.
Hopefully, Clint will help with that when he trains her. Okay, so they leave the Ronin suit behind at the apartment. They go to Kate's aunt's place, all that fun stuff. They end up getting the suit back from the fire department, which we end up meeting, of course, all of the LARPing people, which I was extremely thrilled that this was not just like a one-time thing. Like, when he's like, oh, I know these people you have to go get the arrows from. And I think that they use them really well throughout the whole show. I think that, like, using them to resolve the arrows was great. Using them to, like, they're like, oh, we have assets around the whole party. And then it was like them dressing up in their, like, outfits at the end. They're like, I think it's time. Go and dress up. And then they, like, get to, like, redirect people because they couldn't have done that as, like, firefighter and cop and stuff. They had to do it in their LARPing outfits. It was great. It was really great. I love that for them. They also just seem to be, like, really genuinely really nice people, with, like, offering Clint a place to stay, offering him help, like, all of that stuff. I think they seem like really genuinely good people.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Oh, this is actually episode 2 is where we do meet Maya. And like Sam said, that little opening sequence of meeting her is pretty cool. She's pretty cool. Or at least I think she's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to say, I can't imagine getting kicked by, like, a metal leg, but it seems like it wouldn't feel very good.
I'd highly guarantee that, yes, it would suck.
You should try sometime. Let me know what happens.
No. No, thank you.
Let's see. Oh, interesting. I don't think I caught this until you just explained this, but episode 3 is actually called Echoes. On purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Question mark?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. So we get a bunch of like the history of like why Maya is coming after Ronan. Which really I understand in part why people haven't realized that he's Ronan, but like also it feels like it's kind of weird that they're always in like at the same place at the same time. So silly. They end up escaping, all that fun stuff. We do get to see a little bit more about Kazi. Oh, we also get to see a little bit more about Clint's hearing aid and like I guess the effects of being a hero, like what that has done to him long term. Which
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say it's for sure like the first time that we've seen it, but I think that it's like at least the first major time that we've seen like the quote unquote long effects of being a hero. And like what that would do to your body, especially for somebody like Clint that doesn't actually have any superpowers. He just is a really talented dude.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing we've had is Rhodey having to have the leg supports after being paralyzed. But there's no big deal made out of it. It's a thing he has now. It's not really integrated into the narrative arc of his character development. So yeah, this is by far the most pronounced version of that we've seen thus far, which is cool.
Yeah, I really like that I liked the way that you kind of see the consequences of him not being able to hear, like particularly like when his hearing aid is broken and he can't hear the phone call with his kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that was like I really enjoyed that scene. I loved seeing like Kate help him. I loved seeing like the emotional responses and stuff like that. Like I thought that was a really cool scene.
Yeah. Agreed.
Good stuff. Good stuff. The thing is I think about the thing is that I really love about this show is that they kind of set up all of these pieces and they like continuously follow through on even a lot of like the really smaller pieces.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like the dog. She finds a dog. Instead of just like giving it up to a shelter or whatever, they like have this dog. They call him Pizza Dog. They're always like, oh, we got to go walk him. Even in the last episode, they're like, we got to walk that dog. Right. So they hold that thread throughout the whole thing. Same thing with like the hearing aid. They like hold that thread throughout the whole show. They don't just like drop random pieces, which I feel like Marvel is prone to do sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe that's partially why this show is so good. So they finally do get his hearing aid fixed, all that fun stuff. Let's see. They end up going to Kate's actual house, which is, of course, Eleanor's penthouse. And then we get the moment, which, okay, I watched that moment in Japanese, by the way, where Jack is like, don't move or whatever. I watched that part in Japanese. It was really funny. He's like, Ukokuna. Like, he was like really intense in Japanese.
Mm.
It was a good time. I recommend if you guys are ever just feeling a little silly, switching to another language for the audio. Leave the subtitles on, of course, but just if you're ever feeling a little silly. Sam just doesn't even care. Let's see. Okay, so for the rest of the show, we kind of have this interesting thread where we see Kate and Clint almost become partners because they are partners, but Clint kind of denies it and is like, "Hey, we're not partners. Like, I can't have you around." And I understand his reasoning of like Kate's really young. He doesn't want her to like end up in the same way he did, like all of that stuff. Um, Especially when like him not knowing that that's Natasha's sister, but like, hey, that's a Black Widow, and like now this is like actually serious. Like, you have to go. So I think that he spends like a lot of time like going back and forth between like, hey, are we going to be partners? Are we not going to be partners? And I enjoyed that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's a played out trope with mentors and proteges, but
Mm-hmm.
they frame it that Clint doesn't want to replicate the loss that he's clearly still grieving with in terms of losing Natasha, who he had, like this not mental protege bond with, but a partner with. They were partners.
Yeah.
In a professional sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that plays a part in it as well, considering how often they riff on the fact that Natasha dying and not him is something that still haunts him, um, understandably so. To the point where in during the fight where Yelena comes in, um, Kate gets thrown off the side of the building and is hanging there by the rope, and Kate says to pull her up, and then the music from the scene in Endgame where he let go of Natasha plays, and he cut the rope, obviously replicating the fall that Natasha took, but instead he's doing this specifically in his head to save her from harm. And then obviously the comedic follow up that Kate just walks back in the door and goes back up. So yeah, no, I like the push and pull that they have of how persistent Kate is in not giving up this sort of lifelong dream of hers.
Mm-hmm.
And that the responsibility and burden isn't solely on Clint's shoulders.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of it is like also like recognizing that he needs help, even though he doesn't recognize it. So it's not just like her dream, but I think it's also she recognizes that this person needs help.
mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
I did like that comedic moment where she just walked up the stairs. I don't know what he was thinking of, like, get out of here. and, then, and then she's just like just walks up. I did think that was really funny.
Yeah.
They do it like they did have that actual fight though, which is I thought was interesting where she's like, fine, I'm never coming back, whatever. And then she ends up coming back anyways. Love that for her.
Mm-hmm.
I really do like Kate's character. I think she's a really cool character. I think that, like you said, she's very persistent. She's very, I do love her confidence. I think that being confident is kind of weird. Not in that it's like confidence is a bad thing or a weird thing itself, but if you're confident, people oftentimes try to knock you down because people don't like you to be confident. They want you to be like humble and stuff like that. So I do like seeing like just confident woman beating people up.
Yeah, but then again, it's the naivety. She doesn't really know fully, certainly not in Clint's eyes, the gravity of the situation that they're in. And that's not to suggest that Kate isn't capable of dealing with the situations as they appear, but she does, for the most part, up until the latter half of the show, really kind of bumble her way into them.
Mm-hmm.
And then puts her skills to use rather than being the sort of considered tactical planning character that Clint is more so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really do I really hope that he takes the time to like teach her, because obviously she's going to keep getting in trouble. So hopefully it seems like he now recognizes that she's going to get in trouble either way,
Mm-hmm.
and will hopefully teach her to smartly get in trouble. I do like kind of seeing like their different tactics though, specifically in that roof scene, where he's like, okay, now do this to get in, and then do this, and then swing here, and like whatever, and she just like walks in the door.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, hey, can I help you with these bags? Like whatever. I do like seeing her doing things differently, and it is kind of like some of it is like her being naive, but some of it is also just like he's kind of like almost like jaded at this point, where he's like, this is an old man that like everything's dangerous, whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked that. It's such a fun show. I really, really love seeing like the way they play off of each other. I think that those two actors, I think probably I would assume outside of like playing these roles, have great chemistry as well, because they seem to like work well together and like play off of each other really well. I think they did a really great job casting. Oh God, I don't think I knew that Elena was like gone, or if I did, I totally forgot. Like in the snap clip, whatever. Um, that was such a cool scene. I loved the way that they did that, where she was like gone and then back, and it was like all from her perspective, and like all of a sudden everything's a different color, different layout. That was really cool.
Agreed.
I really appreciate that they keep like, I'm sure that some people are like, oh, that like I'm so sick of this, like they keep beating it over the head or whatever. But I like seeing it from like the way that it affects different people, like that moment, because it was such a big moment. And it was such a crazy thing to happen. And to like just wake up in a bathroom 5 years later, not knowing it's 5 years later, just all of a sudden the bathroom's a different color. Like, I don't know. Like, I really love the way that they show you how it has happened to different people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, and not only that, but coming back and not knowing that your sister's dead
mm-hmm.
kind of legitimizes the whole thing of why she's hunting him down, and because she knows her sister's dead, and
Mm-hmm.
she was given Hawkeye as a target and told that he was the one that
Well, yeah,
caused
because
her to
that weird
die.
lady
So
told her that, right? If I remember correctly,
yeah,
was like, oh, it was Clinton that killed your sister.
well, she didn't say that specifically, but the implication is she provided Clint as a target, whilst Yelena was at Natasha's grave. So, like, the implication is, and us as the audience knowing that they were together when Natasha died, it's sort of like, well, putting two and two together, it's sort of indicative that, and obviously legitimized by this show, that Yelena is going after him because of what he supposedly did to Natasha, or didn't do to prevent her from dying.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I will say I really love Elena. Florence Pugh did an incredible job, as always. Incredible. Um, I really loved the way that her and Kate were like fighting and talking and like having like fun almost. Where it's like she
mm-hmm.
made her macaroni, they sat down, they had a little girls' night. She gave her recommendations about where to go around the city, like, and then like coming back to it where they like had all that fighting, and then she was like, "Man, that was a really good throw," and stuff like that. I really loved their dynamic. I kind of secretly hope that she also helps train Kate, because I think like she would obviously be the closest to being trained in the way that Natasha was. So like having like a hybrid Black Widow / Hawkeye person would be really cool. Those are my hopes and dreams.
Okay.
And also, I think that Yelena still needs, like, she has, like, the other Black Widows, but I do think that she still needs, like, some sense of family. And I think that Clint would be able to provide that as well.
Yeah.
Especially because he has all of those stories about Natasha. So.
Sure. Yeah.
These are my hopes and dreams, you guys. Make it happen. I really loved the holiday party. I thought that whole thing was really fun. Like the way that it was written, where she like literally tries to call her immediately. Like, because it's her mom, right? Like, I'm pretty sure I would have done the same thing. I would be like, what is going on, right? So that panic, I really loved how that scene was written. I loved like the way that she confronted her mother. Like, again, like we're just going back to like, I love the writing in this show. It was done so well. I loved the Christmas party scene. I loved the way that we see Yelena watching him, because he's trying to save people and she's like under the assumption that he's like a murderer. So it kind of like almost directly contradicts that he would be a murderer, because like why would he spend all this time trying to save these people if he was just like a cold-blooded killer?
I think you're reading it wrong. I don't think that Yelena views him as a villain. I think no, she just cares that he's the reason in her mind that Natasha's dead. Outside of that, she doesn't care what he does.
Interesting.
It is what she said to Kate when they were speaking in Kate's apartment. It's sort of like, I'm going to kill him, and Kate was saying like he's a good man. It's just like, well, I don't care.
See, I think the reason why I had that assumption is because during that discussion, she kind of pushes back on Kate and is like, can he really be like a good person? And that's kind of where that hero conversation partially comes in, where it's like everybody says that he's a hero, but we know for sure he's killed a bunch of people. So like, do you really think he's a hero? And is kind of pushing back on Kate.
Yeah, but I guess it's I guess reframe then that it's more that Yelena doesn't care about him saving random people from random people in her perspective. It's that regardless of what he does, he needs to pay for what he did to Natasha. And it's only when they confront one another and talk about it that she realizes that, one, he actually tried to save her and or take her place, and that Val lied to Yelena about how everything went down. So I think like Yelena is a deeply angry person, really. It's just that the rage that is seething inside of her turns to sorrow when Clint tells her the truth, but the rage is just instead redirected back towards Val for lying to her, because she's having to run off of everybody else's narratives because she wasn't there. She has no way of knowing outside of other people telling her what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been relentlessly pursuing Clint and almost, took him out. And again, you going back to the idea of maybe he can become family to her. It's like, well, she was deviously misled into almost taking that off the board, to killing him.
Mm-hmm.
And one, probably not knowing the truth ever, and two, not having the opportunity of a relationship between her and Clint, and hearing the stories of Natasha, yada yada yada. So I think, I don't think that anything that Clint does within this show is on Yelena's radar at all. Because that's her training. Her training is to go in, and she has an objective to complete, and she will just complete it.
See, so then I guess like maybe my read of it is wrong. However, we can say for sure that she has multiple opportunities, especially in this last episode, to kill him and doesn't. And I'm not even talking about their confrontation, like their actual fight. Like, she's watching him in the middle of the party and he doesn't even realize that she's there.
Mm-hmm.
So there were multiple times that she could have just shot him and gone.
Yeah, but then I think then you're just jumping the shark in terms of ignoring the narrative structure and dramatic tension and stuff of the thing.
That's true. But if we're talking about like from the perspective of the characters,
sure, but
I do think she's watching him. So that's
yeah.
It was kind of crazy that Fisk shows up, I will say. I was like, hey, I know that guy. Actually, before, because they were like, oh, it's this dude named Fisk or whatever. No, what did they say? Kingpin is what they said. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if it's the same actor. Then it was. It was the same Kingpin. Crazy.
Yeah.
Those are my feelings about that. We got to see a bunch of cool trick arrows. That was fun. Eleanor gets arrested for murder, all that fun stuff. I really, dude, the internal conflict of like Kate being like, okay, but it's my mom, but also she murdered somebody, but also she's been doing all this horrible stuff, and she like, and then Clint just straight out asking her like, can you do this? Because like sometimes you have to sacrifice stuff. And not to say that her mother is even a sacrifice, but it is kind of a choice to choose to like not like look the other way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially knowing that her mom had quote unquote done it for her, which I think you could make arguments of like, did she really do it for her? Did she really not? I don't think she actually did it for her daughter for at least part of it. But I did like that. I liked the moral quandary that Kate had to decide. It was like a little hero decision there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you think that you would feel if you like had to, if you like found out like your mom's a criminal? You find out your mom's a criminal and you're like, you have to decide whether or not to like call the police.
I mean, you're probably asking the wrong person because I'm incredibly pragmatic. So I turn her in.
Right.
It's not even a question.
But that's not what I'm saying. How would you feel about doing that?
I mean, it depends on the crime. But if she broke the law in some heinous way like Eleanor did, then I don't know. Like I'm of the perspective that, I love you, and you'll still be my mom or my dad or whoever we might be talking about in the hypothetical. But you made your bed, you got to sleep in it. I'm not going to be complicit in a thing,
even if it was done for you.
No, because if it would be like saying if my mum went and robbed a bank and stole 50 million or whatever, some crazy number, and was like, well, it's for you so you can go off and just live a lavish life and travel the world. Eventually that money would be tracked and traced, and then I would be arrested because I was using stolen money, and ultimately it would come to like one way or another that I was complicit and understood that it was stolen money. So it's like I could pretend that Eleanor didn't kill someone and set up an innocent person to take the fall, but then I'd have to sleep at night knowing that somebody who did absolutely nothing wrong is being critically severely punished for my benefit, and that's just not the kind of person I could ever even think of being. So like, I'm not saying that it wouldn't be hard to turn in a loved one. I'm not saying I'm that cold, but like,
you sound really cold right now, to be clear.
when the rubber hits the road, I'm in the same way that I'm expected to be an adult and make my own decisions and be like smart and logical and kind and compassionate, I don't know that you can really accomplish any of those things if you are, particularly in Kate's perspective, if you're trying to be a hero and be a good guy. What good guys do is put bad guys behind bars. So you can't make exceptions, because once a line is crossed, the justifications can be made to just cross more and more lines until you're as bad as the people you're trying to put away. So if it's like Batman saying he has a no-kill rule, he can't and will not kill anyone. He won't kill the Joker ever, regardless of how many bad things the Joker does. Because not only is that what the Joker wants him to do, because then he makes him sink to his level, Batman has to be the beacon of hope that people can look to and not be afraid of unless they're a criminal. And if you cross that line or make exemptions to things, I think that you get into more vigilante territory, which is where the whole Ronin situation ended Clint up, which obviously wasn't good for him. So I think that it's a testament to Kate's moral character, that despite the difficulty of the presented situation, she doesn't cave or let her resolve be shaken at all.
Okay, cool. Makes sense. One of the other things that I wanted to touch on that I forgot to touch when it was kind of discussed in one of the earlier episodes is, and I think it's more of like questions than anything, but like, I don't think I understand like so, okay, here's what I do understand. So Clint becoming Ronin is directly a product of him being so heartbroken that his family is gone. Right? So since I think where I get lost is like how, because like working is one thing, but becoming like a crazy murderous vigilante is another thing. So I don't think I understand fully like where that happened, like / why.
Well, yes, he turned into the Ronin because he lost his entire family. He was unlucky that of the 50% of living things that disappeared, just so happened that everybody but him and his family went. And you have to appreciate that from his perspective, he had no indication for the better part of 5 years that anything was ever going to change about that.
Yeah.
So, and you have to contextually put into perspective why the blip happened. The blip happened because they couldn't stop a bad guy. So when a bad guy winning and essentially, for all intents and purposes, killing your entire family alongside other people that you care about professionally and personally, and just globally, obviously, and well, universally, technically. When that happens, because you were trying to be the good guys and just get the glove off of Thanos as opposed to killing Thanos, and this is the consequence of that, I think that you can very easily slip into a dark place where you're like, well, what is the point of trying to apprehend criminals anymore? Not only because, not that we saw much of it, but you kind of get the impression that post blip in those 5 years, the world was not like lawless by any means, but a bit more
a little bit more Wild West.
Yeah, anything goes kind of thing, where everything was up in the air and people were just trying to figure out how to survive and adapt to the new normal stuff. I think that, and then Clint wasn't good enough or strong enough to stop Natasha from dying. and then he and his colleagues failed to stop a villain from wiping out half of the universe, losing everyone he ever loved, including Natasha. And so it's kind of like Clint's inner what was it all for? I let essentially Natasha kill herself. For what? So that we could lose anyway, and then I lose my entire family. So my closest friend, who I've worked with for decades, dies. I let it happen for the greater good, and then we lose because we weren't good enough, or we weren't decisive enough in what we did. Because if we had killed Thanos just outright, not tried to get the glove off, if we just went for the head, no holds barred, we wouldn't have the issue we're in now. I wouldn't have failed. So I think that then the violent streak that he goes on against people that in his mind and in general society's mind would deserve it more so than innocent people, obviously, which he doesn't do. I think that makes a bit more sense when you sort of contextualize it in that way.
And it seems like his wife knows that he did that too, right?
I mean, I guess. I mean, you could frame it that maybe she knows, like, the gist of it, but Clint doesn't tell her the details because what good does that do in really dragging up the past? But maybe, you know,
I mean, she
you
at
could
least
easily
knows about Ronan.
Yeah, of course. That's why. But what I mean is, she doesn't necessarily knows the ins and outs of everything he did as the Ronin.
Maybe not. My guess is that he did tell her, but
they certainly seem to have the relationship where that might not be like a deal breaker or anything. But I also kind of feel like Clint was so tormented in those 5 years that getting his family back, what good does anybody know what the Ronin was and what the Ronin did? What good does it do anyone? Like you can say it to your wife to get it off your chest, I suppose, but for all intents and purposes throughout this show, I think it's pretty clear that Clint doesn't want to get that off of his chest. He just wants to bury it and forget it.
Yeah.
But it's just like it keeps rising out of the grave to haunt him. And he just wants to get rid of that aspect of his life because he has everything back now. And he just wants to get back to that, both metaphorically and literally. And issues from his past keep getting in the way.
Yeah, I think that it's like also clearly like it's something that he has to deal with. You know, I was like thinking like I wonder what heroes would do for like therapy, because it's not like you can discuss what's happened with like a general therapist, right? So they either need like a specialty therapist that Shield hires and trains, or they just never go to therapy, which I'm sure that they don't because they're heroes. They can do whatever they want, whatever, right? But I think Clint clearly needs therapy.
Well, I mean, in a way we've already seen that, right, with Bucky.
Yeah.
So I think that's the kind of thing that they need, where it is in the same way that Clint might need cleansing of his sins as the Ronin. Bucky needed the same for what he did as the Winter Soldier. So like I'm not saying that Clint needs it necessarily, given where he lands by the end of the show, but that could certainly work for him, maybe in a hypothetical situation.
Okay. Cool. Alrighty. Do you have anything else that you want to say? Characters, themes, storyline, through line, like stuff that's like carrying through past this?
I will just continue to reiterate what I've already said when we watched Black Widow, that Yelena is the best character, arguably in the MCU, but certainly that's been introduced in recent past.
Sam, number one on the simplest for Sam.
Oh, like there is no question. Yeah, like 1000%. Both just in terms of how good Yelena is as a character, but Florence Pugh just can't do any wrong, in my opinion. And she does no wrong. So I think, again, me saying like this show ties a lot of disparate parts of the MCU together, but parts that make sense to come together.
Mm-hmm.
Kingpin is a ground level, city level threat. So it makes sense for him to appear in a series that is set in just New York,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that him rejoining, well, not rejoining, but joining the MCU proper alongside Matt in No Way Home, I think that sets up interesting potential, that they are both now there playing the same characters.
Unless he's dead.
Well, I guess so. Yeah, that's true. But regardless, like, I think the fact that they came in together at all is interesting, because I think that sets a precedent alongside things like No Way Home that brings in characters from other projects that weren't canon or from other universes entirely. Different iterations of the same character. I think you're all, not that Kingpin and Daredevil coming in is anything close to Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield showing up. Because there wasn't a pre-existing Daredevil and Kingpin. It's not like we get their variants that are showing up alongside established characters, but you're seeing a convergence of things where more and more things are technically now being, or retroactively becoming, canon, as the sort of multiverse aspect of things kicks up. Obviously not present in this show, but I think on a meta level, the inclusion of Kingpin and Daredevil does kind of retroactively make the Daredevil show canon, because they are the same characters, not different takes on that same character. They are the characters from the Daredevil show. So yeah, no, I really love it. And you said earlier about like Hawkeye season 2. I love that more than anything. I think there's plenty of room to do that. I don't know that we're ever going to get it. I think it's possible, particularly given the fact that Jeremy Renner famously, over the past couple of years, had a really, really, really bad snowmobile accident. Like nearly died.
Oh, wow.
Took months to recover, had to have like most of his bones reset, some stuff replaced, things like that. It was looking really, really ropey. And this is going to sound worse than I mean it, but I kind of feel like because that happened, Marvel might feel more inclined than they might have been otherwise to throw Jeremy Renner a bone, to give him more work. And he could easily, obviously he might not necessarily need to be as active, because if he is taking on the mentor role for Kate Moore, he could just be more like the sort of wise sage that sits back and lets the young protege go off on her first proper solo mission type deal. I think that could be really cool. And lets Jeremy Renner continue, because I think this show disproved a lot of naysayers that suggested that Clint was like a boring or C tier character. I think that he might not be amongst the greats, but he really can hold his own, both in a literal sense and in terms of just a character sense. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything else.
Okay. Question for you then. What would you say is your favorite moment of the TV show?
Well, in the moment, everyone kind of knew that the Kingpin reveal was coming prior to it happening, because that's what the scuttlebutt was, and there were rumors, and it kind of lined up that the Tracksuit Mafia in the comics had connections to Kingpin. So we're like, it kind of might make sense that. And again, like I said, when we talk about No Way Home, it had leaked that Daredevil was in No Way Home. So we're like, this kind of lines up, and then we're proven right. If that wasn't like a known entity, it certainly would have been the reveal that it was Kingpin and also Vincent D'Onofrio playing Kingpin. I would probably say that it's the moment where they're all fighting on the rooftop and it's not revealed yet that it's Yelena. Because we all, again, with the setup at the end of Black Widow of Hawkeye being her next target, we're like, well, they're going to cross paths at some point. And we kind of knew that Florence Pugh was going to be in the show, but it was the fact that in the very beginning of that fight where, you know, Kate's fighting Maya in the apartment and they both think they're fighting Maya, and Clint's like, well, who am I fighting then? And as soon as he says that line, the synapse fires in my brain when I'm watching it for the first time. I'm like, oh my god, it's Yelena. And then obviously, you know, you get the red stun bracelet, and then the mask pulled off. I think that, again, kind of like the Kingpin thing, you saw it coming, mostly from a mile off, but for that to happen was really cool in my opinion.
All right, that is a good moment. I think my favorite moment is them fighting on the ice together. I think that's like really classic. Like the vision, like that, like visual of them like both like firing their arrows and like in the same pose, and like it was cute.
What happened to those little guys that got shrunk in the van? You know, got taken away by an owl.
I mean, that was a really cute owl. So
yeah, but he's probably going to eat those people. You understand that? Because it's going to look like worms to him, so they're just going to eat him. It's actually quite morbid.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, it is always possible that they'll just randomly get big again. I doubt it, but you know, just trying to be positive, optimistic.
After they've been eaten by the owl, so the owl just explodes.
You know. Oh. All right. Well, Sam was done for the day. No, his internet probably just crashed. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah? Drama?
What?
You just left. Came back.
I didn't leave.
Uh-huh.
I've been here the whole time. I didn't do anything.
Anyways, you guys.
I will not be gaslit.
That's okay. I have proof that you left, so.
I mean, on my screen, you left. I was still in the recording the whole time.
Uh-huh.
So.
All right, guys. What else? Okay. Before I forget, we got to do ranking, and then you have to say what we're watching next, but let's do ranking. Okay, here's my issue when I'm trying to decide my ranking. Is this the best made thing ever? Arguably no. Right. But it was so well written and it was so enjoyable. So it's like when you're comparing it to like some of the other films, it's like, yeah, this film had like a lot of like emotional depth. There was a lot of really cool stuff in this film, but I didn't have as much fun. So I'm having a hard time deciding where to put it. Where are you going to put yours?
Number 10, baby.
Above WandaVision?
Yep.
Okay.
Just below No Way Home, which again seems low, but again, everything in
the top 10
that
is
upper
great.
percentile is like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. So, in my opinion, so for it to be there, and again, the only show above it is Loki.
Loki is
and I
its
think
own
that
thing.
Loki is objectively the best thing TV show wise that they've done. But Hawkeye is right now coming in at a solid second place, TV show wise.
All right. Do you want to guess or do you want me to just say?
Just say.
I'm going to put mine at spot number 8. So above it is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Below it is Spider-Man Far From Home. I think that like the movies, the 1 through 7 just have like a lot. Like I said, they just are just doing too much, like emotionally, for me to like justify putting this higher. It's a little painful that this is above Eternals because I did really like that film, even though a lot of people don't like that, which is crazy to me. Anyways, but yeah, I just had a really good time with this film. I think it was really well written, and yeah, I would kind of want to look up the script and read it. Okay, what are we watching next, Sam? Do you know?
I do.
You know. Okay, what are we watching?
Another show.
We
are doing Moon Knight.
Oh, I've actually been really looking forward to this one. Can I ask, how far away are we from doing another movie?
After Moon Knight.
Okay. Is it the next Doctor Strange film?
It is.
Okay. I've been waiting for that one. Not that I've been like looking forward to that film, but I'm like, every week I'm like, oh, this is the next thing we're going to watch. And then it never happens.
You're not that far away from finding out, I suppose. See if the wait was worth it.
I again, really not that excited about the film, but I just knew it existed and that it was somewhere around where we were. So
I don't know. I mean, from what I remember, you were like really into Doctor Strange because of all the magic and stuff. So
I am really into Doctor Strange because of all the magic and stuff.
It's a sequel to that.
Yeah, but also the name of the show doesn't give me high hopes, or the name of the movie. So
I thought the multiverse stuff was your gig.
Okay, what's crazy is I actually hate multiverse stuff.
So you're a hypocrite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I just really hate when people start messing with like timelines and stuff. I'm like, can we not just have like a plot where we just like have stuff happen?
Yeah.
But then yeah, we get into multiverse stuff, and I'm like, I hate it every time that I'm watching it, and then I'm like, and then I enjoy it. But I still stand by the fact that I don't like multiverse stuff.
Buckle up, I guess.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching and taking the time to hang out with us today. I do want to give a special shout out to our current patrons. We have Alpaca Tom, Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's mom, Brianna's brother, Lindsay, Nikolai at Night, Cypher Primus, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, Mimi J, David Hartright, Dave Harp, the Xbox expansion pass, Lee Navarro, Silicana, and Ellery Wood Parker III. Taylor being like, oh no, why is Mimi J still here? Yesterday. Taylor thought there was something supposed to be removed, but she's not. And it was funny. And it wasn't even the right person that he thought it was. Taylor's silly. Anyways, where can people find you, Sam?
Anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney, Heaney.
You can find me at Fabulous Brianna, FABULISTBREANNA. I hope you guys have a good 2 weeks. We will see you next time when we're talking about